But you
don't have any power when you just walked into somebody's house and said, here, you have my power.
Well, isn't that slave mentality? Isn't that what slaves did? Massa, here's my whole life. Massa, where should I vote? How should I vote? And this is exactly what's happening in city council. And the madam, oh, I'm sorry, not the madam, Miss Walsh is the one who they have to kiss the ring of.
They're pricing people out of their homes. It's not helping the city. So you're not putting people in homes who are already here struggling. You're not putting them to work already here in the city of Wilmington. And then you talk about, oh, well, we need more growth. We need more businesses. Well, the people who are coming here, they're not even working in our office spaces that you keep complaining about, that we have over 2 million square feet of office supply.
So you either have something for them or you got something on them.
Right.
What's going on?
Say it again. Say it again.
Either you got something for them or you got something on them.
Right.
What's going on?
This is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
J Street.
And welcome to The Source. Today we have a very strong agenda of things that we want to talk about. And before we get into some of the new stuff, Brother Street, I want to talk about the Wilmington trash collection issue that we talked about the week before I went away for a week. And you made some prognostications that came true. For example, you talked about, they didn't think it through when they get the smaller trash bins, the trash would be in the streets. And we discovered just last week that was the case. What you thinking?
How do you remember what I said 2 weeks ago?
Because I'm younger than you.
I understand, but okay. No, I'm concerned because, as I indicated 2 weeks ago, there's a change. None of the trash that is not in a regular city issued trash bin is going to be picked up. The problem with that is people have been used at this point to putting trash out in bags and other receptacles, and now all that changes, so trash is going to get left, and it's starting to get left. But the other side of it is just so being completely forthcoming, I talked to some of the employees, and some of the employees said that when you have the receptacles that are not city issue, they don't fit the truck. They don't fit on the truck on the apparatus that carries the trash over and dumps it into the truck. And some of them have gotten hurt because the cans come off or they fly up. And one of the brothers was saying that, he ended up having his tooth go through his lip, that kind of thing, when the can hit him. So that's where we are with it. But the fact of the matter is, in those houses where there are a lot of people, in those houses where there's more than one family, there's no way in the world all that trash can fit into one city-issued trash receptacle. And as a result of that, you're going to either have trash on the street or you're going to have trash in the parks. And if they put it in the parks, that's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, well, you when you texted me this last week, and you share with me some pictures of individuals, and I hope that our media people will be able to put those pictures up of the trash that was left behind after the trash was picked up, which is what you were sharing. The problem that I'm running into, I understand we don't want anyone to get hurt. We want to make sure that that everybody is handled appropriately, but this is the problem I'm having. What is wrong with picking the trash bag up and throwing it on the truck? See, if you say you don't want to use those metal ones, you don't want to use the ones that's not issued by the city. If the trash is in a bag neatly, why can't they lift the bag up and throw it in? That's the way they did it before they got all this technology.
At this point, the city officials who made this determination need to answer that question, and it's a matter of how Public Works is going to handle it.
Well, I mean, I have another solution to the issue is if people believe that they need another trash can, they should be able to apply to get one online or go into construction services or public works, apply for it, and get it for free. If they only want to use the city issue ones, right, and it makes it easier for the workers and everything, that's fine, but also make available additional trash cans for people who need it.
Well, see, the other problem you have is you've got houses that have been converted into apartments.
Right.
Okay.
Yep.
But they haven't been approved
Right.
by L&I. So whereas you have a single family home, now you've got 3 different tenants on each floor if it's a 3-story house, and that house has received 1 trash receptacle. And that's going to be an ongoing challenge, and
But if you got-
it's crystal clear that L&I, and you need more manpower, more resources to be able to monitor that. And of course, that's not in the budget. But this has been going on for a long period of time,
Yeah,
where these slumlords can come in and do just what the heck they want to do with no oversight, and to the detriment of everybody living in that block and in that community.
Which means it's not my fault that I have a slumlord. I'm trying to live. I'm trying
Right.
not to be homeless. And the point that Cody is making is, why can't they apply? I know what your answer is. I heard you clearly. That it's not a legal residence for 3 different families. But still, it's happening. And our city is being bombarded with trash. And I saw the pictures. That's what the issue is right now. In slumlords is just something that's happening, but that's L&I's issue.
Look, you brought up slumlords, so now I'm going to get on my tangent. Look, here's the thing. The city should be doing pre-rental inspections everywhere. There are people all across this city who are living in homes that are filled with black mold, have no hot water, no heat. We're in summertime, so yeah, maybe not having heat's okay, but once we hit winter and fall, that's going to be an issue again. No one should have to live in those conditions. There's people here who are already suffering. You have property taxes going up. You have water bill tax going up. Instead of if we're pulling more money out of people's pockets right now, let's make sure we're doing something to protect the majority of people in this city, which is now a majority renter city.
Right. Well, we're going to talk about that because that's one of the articles that I do want to touch on today about how it's hard to even find affordable housing and that crisis. But I just want to stick with this whole trash thing because I see clearly that rats, roaches, rodents will become real healthy because the trash will be out of control. After the trash truck left, those pictures were taken, and you find that it was a lot of trash still there because it wasn't in the receptacle. Let's say a legal house with 4 or 5 individuals that live in that house, a single family home. It may still be too small for them. Why can't we get extra ones? That's the question I would like to get an answer to.
Right across the 11th Street Bridge, they have a whole field filled with trash can bins.
Oh, well, can we go jump over the fence and get one?
No, I'm not saying that. But what I'm saying is it's there in the community, and it wasn't until recently those people over there were complaining about having to look at that. They finally put up a black cover, so that you don't have to see inside the fence, but they're still there. Those trash cans are still there. So let's put them to use. We ordered them.
And we're back. Well, now let's talk about some local things that's going on. I saw an article in WDEL, I believe it is, and it talked about City Councilwoman Gray, who challenged Loretta Walsh. They tell me I say her name, I overemphasize her last name because I want to make sure that I halfway pronounce it correctly. And the council of having illegal meetings, violating FOIA Act. And before I get into my little concerns.
What is FOIA? Freedom of Information Act.
Absolutely.
And it's in state law, and it requires that you have open meetings, that there be transparency. And the purpose and intention of the law is to see to it that all the business conducted by a government is transparent.
So do you think that's the reason why it became an argument and trying to shut her down? Before I get into the details of that argument, I have some fundamental concerns, and I want you to pay attention that when you're hearing certain people talking to African Americans, she tried to belittle the fact that she's a so-called lawyer and didn't understand the rules of a majority.
She, in fact, is a former magistrate judge.
Yes.
Okay, so it's obviously she has substantial and significant legal training.
But how Loretta Walsh put it and tried to talk to her and talk down to her is that she's some dummy from the school that got a paper degree. Because you don't understand that it was not 7 people, I think it was 4 or whatever it was. I just don't want us to get lost in the fact that you should never be disrespectful.
Right, and let's give the full background here, right? On the most recent city council meeting, Councilwoman Linda Gray from the 1st District made the accusation that 8 members of the council body have been illegally meeting behind closed doors. Now, in the city of Wilmington, not just government where you think of government body, but any government, right? So public works, everyone has to apply to FOIA laws, right?
Absolutely.
So you yourself can learn how to put in a FOIA request to get information, right? So she is saying that because they were meeting behind closed doors with a quorum, that violates the state's FOIA laws. If anyone has put in a FOIA request, they wouldn't know what happened at that meeting. Now, the rule has long been standing that you can have a meeting of 6 people, but once you hit that 7 mark, you then have a quorum of the regular body, and you can't make decisions when you're like that. Now, if they're in a public setting, so say someone is hosting, a church is hosting an event, right, an anniversary event, and 7 council people show up there, that is fine, because it's a public event, it's not their event, but if they're holding closed-door meetings to handle council business, that violates FOIA.
Well, Walsh, she's been very crafty in making sure it was never 7 back in the day. Because this is not a new issue. For those of you who are watching, this is not a new issue. This is how she has strategically controlled the city council for the 5,000 years that she served as a city councilwoman. She's been able to call people to her home and to get all the votes she needs in order to do what they do. So you mean she broke that, or as we're reading reports, she broke that 7 rule?
Yeah, so as the report says, Councilwoman Gray accuses her and others of breaking that 7-member threshold. So
I guess I need to get a FOIA request in.
Yeah, so anyone can.
The process is that you send a letter to the Attorney General asking for an investigation as to whether or not a meeting held on such and such, whatever date, at whatever place, was in violation of the Freedom of Information Act. But I hear what you're saying, but I have a whole different perspective about this because, in my opinion, it's bigger than the meeting itself. Because when you do that, and even if, as one of the council members responded, which I feel is hyper-technical, even if it's not a violation of the law, it's assuredly a violation of the spirit and intention of the law. But when everybody in the city knows that this is transpiring, that leaves the door swinging wide open for things like $446,000 of non-compliance in the housing program. Well, if city council can violate rules, so can I.
Absolutely.
That leaves the door swinging wide open for a police officer to come over here in Southbridge and beat a young man's head into the wall in the store. This kind of impropriety trickles down.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be dealt with, it needs to be addressed. And the first thing that should happen is the council members who were concerned about that, you've got nothing to lose by sending a simple letter to the Attorney General of the state of Delaware asking her to investigate the meeting that was held on whatever date. Separate and apart from that, if in fact decisions were made prior to some council members being sworn in, does in fact that violate the spirit and intention of the law, or does it violate FOIA itself? And if that's the case, at the point where they came forward and voted in public on something they've already voted for in private, is in fact that public action now, is it appropriate and is it legal? And I think it's a good question to ask Attorney Jones.
You opening up the door to a lot of stuff when you're talking right there, because yes, and I keep bringing up Councilwoman Walsh because she's the brain behind these illegal meetings constantly. When this whole council came together with their rules for the new year, it was already a decided deal. She had already, I'm told by one source, she had already made it very clear that she didn't like Trippy's appointments. She didn't like who he wanted to put in what place, so she got together with the right people and got enough votes to overturn and take all of his power. One of the articles that we are not covering today, but I want to just bring it up real quick, is the whole notion of Mayor Baker becoming the chief of staff or consultant. That is a result of that meeting or those meetings that they had where Trippy couldn't even appoint his own chief of staff. This has to be the first time in years, if not ever, that the chief of staff, that the city council president wasn't able to find a person whom he or she felt was appropriate. When Hanifa was in charge, she had her own chief of staff. When Jim Baker was in charge, so this is that meeting. This is the meeting that they are talking about that she constantly have to get her way to do the things that she wants to do.
But here again, it's bigger than that. And I want everybody to look and understand the big picture, okay? For 8 years, there were certain members of city council that purposely and intentionally sabotaged the administration of the Honorable James H. Sills Jr. For 4 years, there were certain members of city council who purposely and intentionally sabotaged the agenda of former Mayor Dennis P. Williams. And from the inception, there are certain members of council, and apparently at least seven of them, who purposely and intentionally sabotaged the presidency of Trippy Congo prior to him even being sworn in.
And that is a reality of truth. Because what at the meetings that they had, they made sure, and then, Hanifa, even though she's not in political office right now, the truth of the matter is she's guilty in some of this. She set the agenda with all of this being put together before she left office. As the current sitting president of city council, she set that agenda and set it up because she lost.
Okay, but I'm gonna repeat something I said 2 weeks ago. As a child, I watched the elders fight vigorously, put really their lives, their jobs at risk, fighting for black people to be on city council.
Yeah.
And they were elated when that finally happened. And I'm just gonna say again, for city council members not to be independent and to listen to and follow the direction of somebody who crystal clearly does not care about people of color,
black people,
and the things that are needed for the greater community, for you to just stand idly by and allow that person to continue to orchestrate what transpires in the city of Wilmington is outrageous. You should be ashamed of yourself.
Yes.
And, if you're not going to be independent, then why did you run for office in the first place?
It's a power thing, so I can have power. But you
don't have any power when you just walk into somebody's house and said, "Here, you have my power."
Well, isn't that slave mentality? Isn't that what slaves did? Massa, here's my whole life. Massa, where should I vote? How should I vote? And this is exactly what's happening in city council. And the madam, I'm sorry, not the madam, Miss Walsh is the one who they have to kiss the ring of. And that's me saying that. And I think that's horrible. But the article talked about the minority and the majority.
But here again, it's bigger than that. Because the council members are purposely and intentionally supporting the agenda of the mayor.
Oh, yeah.
And the mayor's agenda is not all bad,
No,
and it's not all good.
Right.
Correct.
But those things that obviously serve to the detriment of low-income people, people of color, people in the areas where all these shootings are transpiring, there's no fight on city council with only 6 people fighting for what needs to be done in those neighborhoods. And I'm gonna switch to another subject. We need to come back. But here you got $8 million sitting on the table in the proposed budget to reduce crime and violence. That's great. What is it going to be spent for? So now you go running off and hire these people from Newark, New Jersey to come in here.
But who was in the meeting with them?
And do the survey, do the evaluation. When you got Senator Brown sitting over there at the Hope Commission that you formed, and why wouldn't you send that $8 million to him and let him fund what he needs to do in his capacity as the executive director of Hope, based on a plan that you sat there as chairman of the Hope Commission? That I mean, you go back and you look at that plan, you revise it, and let him go forward and let him raise additional revenue
he's
that's
black.
there.
You
He's black, and
you
that can't
see
happen.
who they're trying to push with this whole Newark initiative and everything. It's former President Hanifa Shabazz. She's at the center of it. She's
Yeah.
the one meeting with
Yeah.
them. That's who they want to give the money to. So, but also, you talked about having, the elders back in your day have to fight to get black people on city council. And what I'm concerned about is it's some of their children who are now on council right now who's a part of this, a part of undermining the black community and undermining the community as a whole in order to support what the mayor wants to do. It is no reason we have the most African-American representation, the most diverse council that we have ever had in the city's history. We should be focusing on getting people back to work, getting people in low, affordable housing, and looking at how we can stop the crime. Those should be the 3 main things of any administration. And I'll keep saying this. It's not just the mayor. He has a vision, but it's council to be a check and balance.
That's what's the
But
purpose.
if you ain't, but at the end of the day, the cliche is almost, I'm sure it's older than me, because whoever said it when I recall it in the 60s was either H. Rap Brown or Huey Newton. If you ain't part of the solution, you're part of the problem.
Yes,
Right.
that's right.
That's why I also don't believe that people should just sit and complain about stuff. That's not beneficial. If you're going to complain, come with a solution. Come with a plan of how else to do anything. You talked about the Hope Commission plan. That has been written how many years ago? It's sitting there.
2006.
Right.
Never funded.
So
never had more than $500,000.
So when
and
the
when I
mayor-
costed out part of it,
Right.
Because my plan, which was really just an outline, when I started costing my 2005 plan out, I stopped at $10 million a year.
No, look. And when the mayor sits there and says we have to come up with a new plan, no, we don't. We have to dust off the plan we have. We have to adjust it to today's prices because, back then gas was probably only $1.50. It's $4.25 now. So that means everything has gone up, right? So it's going to cost a little bit more, but we have a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, hopefully, that we won't be facing another pandemic, which means we won't be getting an influx of federal dollars again, which means let's take advantage of what we need to do here. And look, if it means instead of building new houses, we reset what's going on in the city and get crime under control, then you start filling up all those vacant square feet of office space that the mayor always talks about. You start pitting people back to work and rehabbing some of the houses out there because we have a ton of vacant houses here. So you start doing that and get people back to work.
Yeah, but you can do all of those things.
And the so-called expansion of the port, as far as I'm concerned at this point, and I don't want to start trying to talk presidential, but it just appears after all this time, it's a hoax.
And if you expect me to respond other than that, That's the best word you can use, because that's the truth. But I want to go back to the whole notion of this city council, because even since you went over there to this plan, he goes to Newark, New Jersey to find a company, and he overlooks the stuff that we already have here right now. Having Hanifa Shabazz to lead it is just as worse as anything else. But you made a comment.
But what's the record of the city of Newark, New Jersey? What's its record on crime?
Yeah.
My recollection is now United States Senator Cory Booker was attacked because of what he didn't do with the crime in Newark.
Yeah.
So who are they to come in here?
Well, anybody.
And sitting outside of Newark, on the other side, the north side is New York, and they've had the worst experience ever. And I don't understand how you just ignore what you helped craft. You provided the leadership in crafting the whole plan.
Well, maybe
why wouldn't you fund it?
Maybe because I didn't really mean to do that. Maybe I never had my heart in it. Maybe I did it because there was some grant money available. So I would spend it and be a part of it and get some money out of it. Maybe because it looked good under Baker's administration. Those maybes may be the real truth. Because there is no way in the world I could put a vision to Zion Fair and not follow through on it when the opportunity opens up that it can be followed through on. Doesn't matter. You made according to the DLE, the WDEL article, there's a majority and a minority portion of the council. Okay, you have 7 who stick together. Now I'm told it's 8, but there's 7 that stick together. Whatever the mayor wants, if he wants blue cheese instead of ranch, that's what he's going to get.
I credit the mayor for that. If any mayor worth his or her salt is going to control his or her city council.
I am not arguing with the fact.
Baker did it masterfully.
But masterfully. And sometimes they voted against him, sometimes they voted for him, but he understood the politics and he played by the rules a lot of times.
But when he was president, he controlled his council, and there was ongoing.
He's a good politician. He's
ongoing disputes between the Sills administration and, as he called it, his council, because he always had 7 and usually had 10.
Yeah, he's a masterful. He's creative in that. But this is where I'm more or less.
Let me say this. Let me interrupt you, okay? Yeah. Because how do you control city council members? You either have something for them or you got something on them.
Right.
What's going on?
Say it again.
Either you got something for them or you got something on them.
Right.
What's going on?
I'll tell you what's going on. Got something on them. That's what's going on. And that's why some of these cases where people are getting off crimes and being indicted and things are not happening and paying for campaigns and things of that nature, all of that is mixed up in this.
If I, as a candidate for an elective office, I didn't have to campaign, I didn't have to spend any money, and I got elected, and you caused that to happen, you the man.
Yeah. Well, let me say this to you. In the article that you talk about the 7, do you know who they probably are referring to? Probably, because I don't use it as a fact.
Yeah, no, actually in the article it talks about who the 7 is. And
can you name them so that we can put them on the screen?
Yeah, so the 7 that they're referring to as the majority at the beginning of session is Councilwoman Loretta Walsh, Councilwoman Maria Cabrera, James Padola, Nathan Fields, Brigida Fields, Chris Johnson, did I say Nathan Fields? And Xanthia Oliver. And then the majority is Council President Congo, Councilwoman Gray, Councilwoman Darby, Councilwoman Harley, Councilwoman McCoy, and then Councilwoman Rashima Dixit at the time.
And now I'm told that there may be an 8th person that have joined the powerful 7?
Correct.
Wow.
So
they're recruiting.
At the appointment of Al Mills, it's been accused that he's been a part of these meetings as well, too.
Wow.
But the fact of the matter is,
we are talking about, before you go in, we are talking about this illegal meetings. We don't went to several different topics, but I want to make sure you're clear on, we're talking about these illegal meetings that have been occurring at Loretta Walsh's house. We don't have any information on what was decided, but what we do know, how they will always spin it, is that we vote in city chambers or we vote in a meeting, but votes occur before the meeting so that when we go and carry it out officially, that's what it is. And that's a problem. And when Street talks about that there are people who are probably turning over in their graves who fought hard, fought long to get our African-American representation and Latino representation on the council, and for some of their children to even be treated treating their votes as if it's for sale is just outright disgusting, unfair, and they should never be re-elected to go back into office. That's me speaking on that part. But these 7 individuals, and now probably 8, is really a representation, in my opinion, of sellout. Now, we know, you said it earlier, there was for 4 years, there was a group that went against Seals. There was for 8 years, I'm sorry, and 4 with Williams. But there's a consistency. Now you don't have that group against the mayor, especially 2 or 3 people, 2 people, 1 person for sure, named Loretta Walsh. She was against every black mayor we had on every issue.
No, she wasn't.
Which one? Oh, I'm sorry. Baker. I'm sorry. Thank you for correcting me. The master politician. She wasn't for him. But for Seals and for, I was here during Williams' time. And it was just disgraceful to the level of her disgust with him as a mayor.
But everybody was outraged when in 2014, Newsweek says Wilmington is murder town USA. Mm-hmm. And then when the new mayor comes in and he and his police chief break that record, not for 1 year, but for several years, nothing was said.
Right.
It's been Christmas ever since he got elected.
Silent night?
Everybody on Silent Night.
Yeah.
And it's a holy hell night with kids running up and down the street, shooting each other and killing each other.
And real quick, talking about the gun violence still and talking about Newark.
But it's down for the year.
It's down for the year.
It's down for the
here in
first 4
Wilmington.
months of the
But
year.
I want to talk about Newark real quick because you asked what their rates were. So Newark, they had 57 homicides in 2021. 221 non-fatal shootings, which is an increase of 13% over the year. So it's going up there.
Yeah.
So the same people who came here, did a presentation, and in their presentation, they actually said that the gun violence was down in the city of Newark. These are statistics released by Mayor Bacara's public safety director, right from their own information and from their police department, saying the exact opposite. Now, it was down in 2019.
Okay. That's the data they're going to go off of.
Right.
So they can keep their contracts and they can keep their buddies from Wilmington giving them more money.
Correct.
They're going to always spin it to make sure that it is different than the real reality.
But I'm impressed because you told me to hush, but I realized why you told me to hush because you sat there and found that on your laptop while we're doing the show.
Yeah.
See, that's why we need young people.
That's why I keep it
That's
here.
why we need young people.
Absolutely. I mean, that's right.
And on the battlefield. Thank you.
Yeah. Well, and he's smart too. He's not just here. You got what I'm saying? And let me just say this so that we can be clear. We'll try to move on to another topic. But I'm just disgusted that Ms. Walsh can continue to control council and the sellouts. Yes, I said it. I'm here to represent it. I ain't taking it back. The sellouts who are on the council, who are some of their districts, and I can name individuals. Their districts are in disrepair. And they would go along because they've been given a chicken sandwich or got something on them.
Well, at the end of the day, I sit here as we're having this discussion and I think about the late, in my opinion, great Dr. Al O'Plant, who used to repeatedly get on TV on Sunday, as we are now, and say, if you don't stand for something, you might fall for anything. And unfortunately, that's where we are.
And I think we're at that point. I just hope and trust that you all who are voters, and I think which district is the largest voting district? Is it the second district?
It's between the 1st and the 8th. It fluctuates each election.
1st and 8th. Well, we hope that, especially the 1st, that's the district you in, right? I know you're going to vote. But I hope all of the districts would see and hear and challenge your city council. Why are you voting in favor? That's why what we're going to do is when we start seeing these controversial votes, we're going to show you who voting for what, so that you will be able to see the sellout. It's just disgusting.
But and I think this is important, and you may disagree. But when you have the appearance of impropriety,
that's
at the city council level, that trickles down throughout the government. It trickles down into each and every department because the department heads are aware of it, the administrative staff are aware of it. So if city council can be hyper-technical with the law, so can I.
Right.
And that's how you end up, I'm going to say it again, with a $446,000 in misappropriation of housing fund. That's how you end up with a police officer feeling very comfortable in soliciting sex from a teenager, with a police officer feeling very comfortable having sex in the car, with a police officer feeling very comfortable in changing the barrel on the gun after he shot a young black man in the back, and as opposed to being charged with attempted murder, he's charged with tampering with evidence. That's when a police officer feels real comfortable in going around and walking into a store and beating a young man's head in the wall. And if folks are tired of hearing it, the fact of the matter is you can't dispute that those things have happened under this administration, and the only people talking about it are the people who ain't scared.
Right, who ain't scared and who don't need a chicken sandwich. And matter of fact, I know how to fry chicken real well. I go get a chicken and wring his neck and do what I got to do and fry it up myself. And I'm not saying
I'm just going to Popeyes.
You're going to go to... There you go. And as a matter of fact, that's probably the route we need to go because you ain't got to get floured up and everything else. While we joking, at the end of the day, this is serious. This is real serious. And I want you all to be very cognizant of the fact that we just got a crooked, corrupt system. The appearance of impropriety is what is worse than the impropriety, all right? The appearance of it. Why? And this is not the first time it happened. This is not the first time that it happened. They've been meeting at Loretta Walsh's house for years. She knows how to control. So here's my fundamental question, as I do on Sunday morning when I'm getting ready to preach good. My fundamental question is, if you can have 7, 8, 6 members of city council at your house, why can't you all come back to session? Hello? I'm waiting for you to respond. I can't hear them.
But you know, I have health issues.
Now that you got 8 people?
No, I have health issues, and I need to quarantine.
No, you can't quarantine if you got 8 people. You don't know where they've been, where they are, and they all in your face and talking about this stuff.
We practice social distance.
Ain't that house like that big? They can be in different.
I will say this. So council is coming back starting in May. So as of tomorrow, they will be back in for committee meetings and for regular council. Oh,
good!
meetings.
Yay! We're very happy that they're able to come back. But can we? The problem is, can we get it a vote? Now, if you're not there, can you vote?
So they haven't released how they're going to do it. If they're going to have a hybrid way of doing it, like they did last time they came back into session, but. If you go back to pre-pandemic, you had to be there to vote. There was no proxy voting.
Council President Congo, I'm asking you, if that goes to a vote, I need to know who voted for and against. Come on back. And if you're not present in the chamber, your vote doesn't count. Because if persons can have these private meetings to keep their power over this city, then they can certainly come into the chamber. And there's no dislike or hate in my spirit about this whole thing. It's really about a person who's controlling black and brown people to do their agenda, and their communities look great, but our communities are in decay. And that's a problem for me. I want to do one more thing before I move on, and that is this affordable housing in Delaware. We only got a minute before we go to our break. But this whole affordable housing in Delaware, it's out of control. The articles that I've been reading talks about it's almost more expensive to live in Delaware with the renters. We built our apartments for high expensive renting abilities, but for the affordable, we are just about at a place where nothing. We can't do anything.
Yeah, so Delaware actually ranks below the national average for affordable low-income housing. We actually saw a jump According to studies done in our region, the Mid-Atlantic region, we tie with Maryland with 31 available homes, affordable homes out of 100.
Wow.
Our neighboring states are around 34, 37 area. But again, Delaware is facing a huge shortage. We're about 18,000 homes short of what we would need to address our affordable housing issue right now. And there are projects that are bringing, 214 homes to Wilmington and 57 down in Dover, but it's not meeting the need right now.
Yeah.
But the harsh reality is this ain't rocket science. Y'all can see. The City of Wilmington Housing Authority is probably the only housing authority in the country where it was allowed to literally tear down square blocks of public housing and not replace them anywhere.
Yeah.
They tore down all that public housing in Riverside. They haven't replaced it with public housing. They tore down all the public housing over here in Southbridge.
That's right.
And they made it
what you call those things? Not satellites. What you call those things? The towers.
High rises?
No. When you use the sun,
the power.
Oh, solar.
Solar park.
So you turn public housing into solar grids.
Yeah.
And then you wonder why you don't have affordable housing. But see, the Baker administration took the position that we were overridden with low-income people, and what they were going to do was drive the low-income people out of the city. That position was intentional. It was purposeful. I guess that means same thing. But it was reckless.
That's right, and wrong. Beyond
reckless and flat out rotten.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, 72% of Delawareans in the low income bracket are spending more than 50% of their income on wherever they're living. You look at what a one-bedroom apartment here in Wilmington jumped 12.3% to about $11.42 is the average now in the city of Wilmington.
Wow. So then those apartments I was talking about that have been converted with no license. So instead of getting $11.42 for the house, now I get $11.42 per floor.
Right.
First floor, second floor, and the third floor.
Yeah. But what I've also discovered is that a lot of people are saying, or some of the reporting nationally, that especially here in Wilmington, that they don't want to even consider the low affordable housing because of all the rules you have to follow in order to get, what is that program, that HUD program?
Section 8.
Section 8. They said they don't really want to follow all of those rules. So now it's like they can charge what they want to charge, no rules involved, and you know what? Most of the people cannot afford it, so they're going to wind up on the street.
Well, and there was an concerted effort made during COVID at the beginning of it to get homeless people off the street. And nobody cared. The government didn't care about homeless people until COVID hit. But now with the view that they had the potential of passing on the virus, now we have to put them somewhere. We still have people sleeping on the street. The county built $20 million and using the hotel down there for homeless people, some people from the city. But you can walk through the city and you can look down at the Mission, you can look down by the train station, you can go to parks at night and early in the morning and see the homeless people sleeping in the park, sleeping on the street. And what initiative at any level of government has been brought forward to take these people off the street? And some of them are addicted, some of them have mental health issues, but they're people sleeping on the street. And we as a government, and I'm talking across the board at all three levels of government, apparently really don't care.
Well, look, I want to say this, right? we all see the development that's happening in the city of Wilmington. And the vast majority of that is market rate housing, which, you know, sometimes that will create more opportunity. It relieves the pressure off of, you know, the low income housing. But on the flip side, here's the thing. It creates opportunities for exclusionary practices to take place. True. And that is what we're seeing happening right here in the city of Wilmington. Now, look, growth of any city is important. It's needed. That's what you need to keep your city alive, right? But you can do that without gentrification and displacement, right? But see, that pisses off the Rob Pacini's of the world. That pisses off the Mayor Pazicki's of the world. That pisses off all those people, all those council members who Pazicki and his camp ran, everyone who was on that Bud Friel slate. They don't want to see that. They don't care about low-income housing, and you're seeing that happen right now. There is no reason why BPG should receive a single cent of public dollars for anything. They don't hire local. They bring all their people from Kentucky, from New Jersey, from Pennsylvania, so the money's not coming back here. They're pricing people out of their homes. It's not helping the city. So you're not putting people in homes who are already here struggling. You're not putting them to work already here in the city of Wilmington. And then you talk about, oh, well, we need more growth. We need more businesses. Well, the people who are coming here, they're not even working in or office spaces that you keep complaining about, that we have over 2 million square feet of office supply. So, you know, you have to start looking at how things change. And I say this to say this. Every single day, in my actual job, I deal with cases like this. I am a community navigator. One of the things I do is community navigation through the Wilmington Urban League and through Network Delaware. And we work with residents who are behind on their rent. Now, DHAB was created in 2020 to help people who were affected by COVID and people who are behind on their rent. You can get up to 18 months paid with a $2,000 match per month. So every day you hear the stories of people who are being priced out and how their landlords are now raising rent. Just the other day, someone came into the office and their rent was being raised by $350.
Wow.
That's a lot for people who are already struggling.
And
it's only $4,000 a year.
Yeah, but you say it's only $4,000 because you got a lot of money. You make a lot of money. But for a person who is working
on a
minimum wage, I got a fixed income too, and your fixed income is bigger than some people's big checks. But fixed income, you know what fixed income means? Fixed income means every month you know exactly how much you're gonna get, and if what you're gonna get is $2 million every month, that fixed income is not a low fixed income.
My point being, you're gonna take low income people and charge them an additional $4,000 to $5,000.
Yes, they are.
And then there's another increase coming.
Yeah.
If and when the tax increase
for the city. That's right. Because they're gonna throw it right to the little person.
Is approved.
So I beg you to pay attention. I beg you to use your vote wisely. It's time to get people who are concerned about your issues, not your political community leaders who are a lot of them have been bought as well. I got a couple things I want to do. So we're going to take a quick commercial break real quick, and we're going to come right back. And we're back. Last week I was away visiting my father in North Carolina, so I wasn't able to be on the show, and y'all did a great job. But I want to just take a moment to say thank you to Senator, or should I say to the Senate Pro Temp, David Sokola. We had several meetings, and we had an opportunity to basically share truth over opinion and over emotions. And he assured us, although many didn't think that he was going to follow up on what he said he would do, and that is that he would look into all details and he would then make a decision based on the facts that are presented before him. He restored last week Senator Darius Brown, and I'm very grateful. And I'm one of those people that even if I didn't like a person, as long as you do what you say you're going to do, I want to make sure I come back to say thank you. You looked into the facts, you had your people to look into the facts, and you came through with a conclusion. He needed to be fully restored, and we're grateful for that. Now, I know
where you get we at?
Me.
How you're grateful for it? Because I can't sit here and say it's okay and thank you when he had no business taking him off in the first place. Everywhere in the country, a man is innocent until proven guilty. Everywhere in the country, man has a right to face his accusers, except when it's a black man in the Delaware State Senate. I don't want to hear it. Thank him for what? Thank him for what he messed. Thank him for fixing what he messed up. In the meantime, Darius was not on the Judiciary Committee for an entire year. How fundamentally unfair is that?
Well, it may not be. Listen, let me just say this to you. I agree with you, but we're getting there. We're not where we need to be as a state. This state is racist by its culture, its ethos. But what I'm saying is we have a baby step. And the baby step is he delivered on what he said he would do. You're right. From the door, maybe he should not have removed him. He did. It was a lot of pressure on both sides.
We never said anything. We didn't cry foul until Senator Brown was found guilty by a Delaware jury.
Not guilty.
A Delaware jury, not guilty of what he's accused of. And then we had our news conference, and then we had our meetings. But in my view, because Senator Brown was treated much differently than other people accused of impropriety who were members of the General Assembly, I can't sit here and thank him for fixing what he broke.
Yeah, but he
You broke it.
But how often?
You had no business breaking it.
How often do we find, Brother Street, that they break something, the system, and don't fix it, don't correct it, who basically tell you to go somewhere, I did it and I'm in charge. The mere fact that he came back and said, listen, I got the facts, and then after
That's
looking at
not
the facts.
what he said.
Well,
what facts did he have?
But his committee.
What was different from the day he took him off the bond committee, from the day he put him back on? What changed?
A non-guilty verdict.
Yeah, let's go.
And an internal investigation.
He took him off after the allegation of the incident in the restaurant. Took him off the Judiciary Committee. And then he subsequently, when there was an argument with another member of the General Assembly, he took him off the bond committee. What transpired differently from the day he took him off the bond committee to the day he put him back?
Jesus showed up and touched his heart.
Thank God.
Jesus showed up and touched his heart. So thank you for allowing the Lord to touch your heart, Senator Sokola. We appreciate you. Kobe, we're running out of time.
Speak for yourself. There's no we involved in that.
The Greek word is sou. We represents me, myself, and I.
Praise God, because I don't agree.
Let's get to the Kobe Corner because we're out of time today, but I can't wait till next week. We'll probably pick up some more things.
So I will make this real quick. First off, I want to make the announcement that Cedric Richmond, the former congressman from Louisiana 2nd District, who's been serving as the White House Public Engagement Director, is leaving the White House. He's going to be taking a role with the DNC, very similar to the role he played as one of Biden's co-chairs, as the liaison to help with messaging ahead of the midterms, not just for fighting to win some of these governor seats, Senate seats, and House seats, but also all the way down ballot. And it's unfortunate because he's the highest ranking African-American male in the cabinet right now. That title is going to go to the defense secretary. But it is a truly important role that he's going to be playing, working with Chair Jamie Harrison at the DNC and the amazing staff there. And then also, look, May 10th is right around the corner, which means it's school board time. I know the weekend before is Mother's Day weekend. Make sure you do something nice for your mother or for the women in your life. But on May 10th, if you want to do something for the students and for the young people in your life, making sure you get out and go vote for qualified candidates who care about the community, who care about the students and teachers, and care about making sure the district goes forward. Now, this year, it's been very polarizing. The Delaware GOP are pushing people who are anti-black, I say, because they're anti-CRT, anti-black history. They think anything to do with teaching people about diversity and inclusion is wrong, and that's what their candidates are pushing it. You're seeing it in these forums right now, and you have some amazing people running, not just up here in the city of Wilmington, but all throughout the state. So look up on Department of Election, I Will Vote, to see what school district you are, and then look up to see who is running in your school district. And if you need help, feel free to reach out to me, and I can help you. You know, I have a whole list of people that I think are good.
We said that we were going to bring in a few of them, and we did not do that. We need to at least let them be before the people so that people can vote.
Yeah.
So could we just make sure we get somebody represented? And even if we got to use the coffee with curry time, I do want to try to bring in a few people who we consider to be valuable, who will represent our community. Our children matter.
Yes.
I think it was Frederick Douglass who said that it is better to strengthen the youth than to have to repair the elderly.
Well, we're 12 days away, and it won't air until the Sunday before, and you got to get the people in, but we'll give it a shot.
Yeah, well, just one or two. We can use both shows. I just want to get them. I want to get them on. I'm sorry.
And then lastly, I talked about it earlier with DHAP. It is a program still out there. People are looking to give out this money, right? But you have to put in applications. If you need help putting in those applications, feel free to reach out to me. And again, it's to help renters all throughout the state, all 3 counties. So if you're behind on your rent or you need rental assistance going forward, we'll put a flyer up on how to contact me. And you know, you come on in and we'll help you with that.
Good. Well, we got 2 more minutes. And before you going to say something about Street?
Well, I'm just elated that yesterday statue was unveiled of the Honorable Dr. James H. Sills Jr., mayor, former mayor of the city of Wilmington. And here again, Darius Brown, and that statue cost several $100,000 before he got put off the bond committee. Saw to it that money was there. And so people don't understand why I fight so vigorously, but when somebody is that effective at that level, and the unveiling of that statue is a historic moment in this city, and I'm glad it's being done, and I'm truly appreciative to Senator Brown for taking the leadership. Then seeing to it that happens. I'm glad we agree on something.
Yes, we do agree on that. And even when the fight was going on between the cancel culture individuals who wanted to come at him, it was never an issue of whether or not we support violence or anything else. Darius Brown, Senator Brown, has done a phenomenal job with returning an investment in our community.
289,000 expungements.
Wow. For us to talk about city council, for us to talk about, he's just giving off the data of truth. For us to talk about council members who are being sold out for nothing, they're getting sold out for chicken sandwiches, and to have a person who is as effective. This is why many of us rose up and said to Senator Sokola that you have to be fair. And I'm grateful. He has done so much.
African American judge in every county.
Every county now. Great guy. Well, they'll get that to the governor, say the governor did it, but if he had not been sitting there, I don't think that would have occurred to the level that it did. But I'm grateful for that. Let me just say this last thing.
Judge on the Delaware
and I want to make sure that we're clear. The big part of our show today, as we're going off, dealt with this illegal voting, or not voting, but meetings that happens in Loretta Walsh's house. We need to get a billboard that says no more meetings in Loretta Walsh's house. Council, you don't need to kiss the ring. You're supposed to be independent.
But let's be clear. The argument is, some people say it's potentially illegal. They say it's not illegal. But I think our point today is that the appearance of impropriety is as bad as impropriety itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. See, we agreed on 2 things today.
Praise God.
From whom all blessings flow. You want to, because you got a little excited today. We use you as our professor, but you done got excited when you see that they're not serving what they need to serve. You all right for the day? Because we get ready to go off. But
no, I'm good. Again, I just care deeply about housing and about this city. So yeah, I get emotional sometimes. But again, look, we're still facing this pandemic. We're still, people are still losing their jobs because of it. People are still catching COVID. The numbers are rising a little bit. I know there was talks of mask mandate up in Philly and got some pushback of it. Just be safe. Just be safe out there. Remember, if you're going to see your friends and family, especially your mothers next weekend, just be safe, be cautious, and make sure you quarantine before going to see her. You don't want your mom to get sick.
Yeah, I did that with my father. And Dr. Fauci did do an article, for those of you who are watching, and we're going to go on this one, but Dr. Fauci had done an article talking to CNN, and we won't be able to show that clip because we've run out of time, that says that we are out of the pandemic. And what he was really trying to say is that we don't have the staggering numbers that we used to have. We're not out of this pandemic. You should still wear your mask. You should still make sure that you're washing your hands, and you should still social distance so that we will be safe. I want to take this opportunity to thank all of y'all who watch us every week. We're going to come back, and we're going to still come back and talk about Loretta Walsh again next week.
Where you
I'm
get
going to
that
find
weed
something
stuff?
because that's what we do. We gonna do it. This is Dr. Curry.
This is Kobe Owens.
J Street.
What about happened to Pastor Street? He's not passed this
The
week?
real pastor came back, so.
See ya.
Take care, y'all.